What's up YouTube? Welcome to NAATI.com. Today I will give you a brief overview of the NAATI CCL exam and we will go through the scoring guide. I will also explain what we need to do, what we should not do in the exam to get good scores, and the question types as well. Alright, let's get started. So since this is the NAATI CCL exam, there is no translation involved. There is only interpretation. So it means that there is no writing required. You only listen and then you repeat. So basically it's like the repeat sentence section of the PTE speaking section. Okay, so the exam lasts for about 30 minutes and there are two dialogues that you listen to, dialogue 1 and dialogue 2. So dialogue 1 is based in one context, dialogue 2 is based on a different context. So in dialogue 1 you get about, I would say, 8 to 10 segments, and dialogue 2 also 8 to 10 segments. So dialogue 1 doesn't mean that you just listen to one sentence or one person speaking. Dialogue 1 means one whole segment. Dialogue 2 is a different. So in dialogue 1 you get 8 to 10 segments. So segment means each audio that you listen to. So it means that you hear audio 8 to 10 times and you have to interpret 8 to 10 times for those audio files that you listen to. Alright, so in the examination room there will be a testing officer who is there to play and pause the audio for you. You cannot do that by yourself, although you can request to increase or decrease the volume. The testing officer is there just to record your answers. He is not the one that assesses your answer. So your speaking, your answers will be recorded and sent off to a different person, and that's how you get assessed. So the testing officer most likely won't understand your native language. So in the exam you can take a couple of pens. You don't need to take a paper with you. You will be provided with a pen, with a paper, not a pen. And you do need to take notes while you listen to the audios. Alright, now let's go into the scoring guide. The total score of the exam is 90, and in order to pass you have to get at least 63.5 in total. So dialogue 1 is 45 marks, dialogue 2 is 45 marks, so these are scored differently and it's added all together at the end. So you have to get a total of 63.5 and you have to get at least 29 each in dialogue 1 and you have to get 29 in dialogue 2 as well. So let's say that I got 29 in dialogue 1 and I got 29 in dialogue 2 as well. So I did pass in individual dialogues, but if you add these two marks, it will not be 63.5, so I failed the exam. So you have to pass two ways. One, you have to pass in the individual dialogues. The other, you have to pass overall as well. Alright, now let's go down, dig deep into the scoring guide, how you get scored, and what makes you lose marks as well. Any addition, meaning if you add any extra words, insertion or any deletion or omission means that you lose marks as well. And also replacement, you lose marks, and if you interpret in the wrong way, you lose marks as well. And when I say with additions or omissions you lose marks, it doesn't mean that you need to interpret everything. The main essence is to interpret the meaning, right? So make the communication clear between two parties. That's the main essence, and if you do that, you will pass the exam. Because in real life scenario, even a professional interpreter would not be able to interpret everything word by word. And we need only 63.5 out of 90. We don't need to score full marks to pass anyway. So yes, there are rooms for making errors. So you don't need to interpret everything. But if the main message is not interpreted clearly, then you most likely you lose more than 50% of the marks for that segment. Okay, so as I said, dialogue 1, 45 marks. Now let's go into the individual dialogues, how you get scored. So altogether there are 8 to 10 segments, means that you hear 8 to 10 audios, and in one audio it might be one sentence or it might be more than one sentence. But how many words do you listen at a time? Up to 35 words, not more than that, up to 35 words in each audio. So it's pretty long actually, because in PT repeat sentence the limit is around 16 words maximum, but here it can go up to 35 and you have to interpret as well. So if you hear, let's say, 8 audios, 8 different segments for dialogue 1, then marks is, I think, more or less allocated evenly in all the sections. So some segments give you 4 marks, some segments 5, so like that it goes to 45 overall. So when you go to the exam room and you sit there, you have a pen and paper, and the testing officer will play the audio, so it will explain you about the NAATI exam, what you can do, all those things, the basic information. And when you listen to the audio first, it will start like this, right? So dialogue 1, and then it will give you the context of dialogue 1. For example, you are going to listen to dialogue 1. This is a conversation between, for example, a Nepalese speaker, Mr. Krishna, and a doctor, and Mr. Krishna is complaining about his chronic back pain, something like this. And then the dialogue starts, dialogue 1. Then you hear a person speaking, so in the audio, let's say, so now it is the testing officer playing the audio for you. So for example, let's say first of all the doctor says, you listen to the audio where the doctor says, "Good morning, Mr. Krishna. Thank you for coming today. How can I help you?" So once the audio is completed, the testing officer pauses the audio, and then you hear a bell, right? That means that you need to speak. So after the audio stops and after you hear the bell, then you don't need to start interpreting immediately. You can take 3 to 5 seconds time to think, to look at your notes. But remember, do not take more than 3 to 5 seconds time because you will lose marks. So again, I'll repeat, the audio stops, you hear a beep sound, you hear an indicator, most likely a chime, like a bell, and then in 3 to 5 seconds you need to start interpreting. So once you've done interpreting, so let's say for example for that, I have to speak in Nepali, I have to interpret whatever the doctor said in Nepalese. So I will say, "Supraprat Shriman Krishnaज्यू, आउनुभएकोमा धन्यवाद, म तपाईलाई कसरी मद्दत गर्न सक्छु?" So once the testing officer sees that you have finished interpreting that segment, then he plays the next audio for you. So you don't have to say that, "Okay, I'm done, can you play the next audio?" every time. So the testing officer does that for you. So that way you go, then again the next sentence, now the Nepalese speaker replies by saying that, "Supraprat डाक्टर साहब, तपाईलाई भेटेर पनि मलाई खुसी लाग्यो, आज म मेरो ढाडको दुखाइको कारणले गर्दा आएको हुँ." Then you hear a beep sound, then you hear an indicator, and then you have to say that in English. So you will say, "Good morning, doctor. I'm also happy to see you. I'm here today because of my back pain." That's how the section goes. So once the dialogue 1 is completed, then you get another notification in the audio which says that the next audio is, which says that next is dialogue 2, and this is the context. So the context might be different. For example, in this dialogue you will hear a Nepalese speaker talk to his lawyer regarding his MRT visa or student visa or something like that. So that's how you complete your exam. Now let's go to the biggest question, which is, can I listen to an audio twice? Yes, you can, but there is a restriction. So for example, in each dialogue you can get 1 repetition, meaning in dialogue 1, for all those 8 to 10 different audios that I hear, I can ask for 1 repetition without losing any marks. So it's up to me whether I want to get the repetition for the first dialogue, second, third, fourth. It's up to me. Sorry, for the first segment, second, third, or fourth. It's up to me. But after that, let's say I did not understand another sentence, so I ask for another repetition. Then I start to lose mark. Then 1 mark minus for each repetition. That's how it goes. Now, coming down to the phrasing, you can ask for rephrasing, right? So, sometimes it happens sometimes we start with the wrong sentence. So if you feel like you want to rephrase it, you can say that. So let's say I start interpreting and halfway I realize I started with the wrong word, then I can say, I would like to rephrase the last sentence. Then I can go back and I can start interpreting again. So as long as the rephrasing corrects my mistake, as long as rephrasing reflects that I'm capable of translating the message properly, I will get marks for it. But if you do not translate properly, even after rephrasing, you will lose a lot of marks. So overall, in dialogue 1 and dialogue 2, I would suggest not take more than 2 repetitions, because for 1 repetition you don't lose any marks. For next, you do lose marks. and you know, the more repetitions you take, the more marks you lose. But not only that, it puts a negative impression on your assessor, right? That the student is asking for like 5-6 repetitions, so you may get less marks. And at the end, your marks for dialogue 1 and dialogue 2 are added, and your answer is scored by 2 persons actually, and the average is calculated. And as I said, you need to have 63.5 overall and 29 each to pass your NAATI exam. Okay guys, I will conclude my introduction to NAATI to that much for today, and in the next video I will explain more about the NAATI exam. I will come up with PowerPoint presentations, and we will discuss more about the NAATI vocabs, the most common topics, and then we will also discuss about some exam tips, techniques and tricks as well. So if you're interested in to know about more exam tips, techniques, tricks, and get free materials, make sure you like this video and you hit the subscribe button as well. And you can go to my website nepalinaati.com to get some free materials as well. And thank you for watching this video. I'll see you guys in the next video.